So, welcome to my road movie about our trip to California, 12 days in February 2020. This is 12 days squeezed down to 60 minutes. It's not easy, but I've tried. If you've never been to California, I hope you get some new ideas about what to see, and if you have been, this could be like a nostalgic ride down the memory lane. So the movie starts with the excitement to be at the airport. It's like a portal to something new, unknown.
In här.
There's a net.
Because this records 360 and everything after
Tunge ejendele, der vejer mere end en kilo, for eksempel en computer, skal placeres i bagagen. Og på salgsbøsten, så skal vi bede om at al bagage op i bagagehylden og lægge fjernkontrol tilbage på plads.
The flight time is 13 hours long, and I can tell you the time difference is not to be played with. I was very jet lagged, but we were also very curious. So here we are in a motel just outside the San Francisco International Airport. I can also say that we had fantastic weather when we were there in February. February can be cold and rainy and foggy in California, but we were lucky with no rain at all and 20 degrees Celsius or more. And then there was this car, this 2020 year Ford Mustang V8 GT convertible with an engine creating the heavenly sound of thunder combined with a roaring tiger. What a pleasure. Our next and first overnight stop was Carmel-By-The-Sea, a very European laid-back style resort, maybe nowadays mostly known for Clint Eastwood being the major in this town during the 80s. We stayed at the Normandy Inn, and we can highly recommend it. It's very cozy, cabin-style accommodation, and you also get a complimentary glass of sherry in the lobby. So that's nice.
Hello. Would you like to come in and try our dinner?
Oh, not now. We'll walk to the beach and watch the sunset. Thanks. And here we are looking at the sunset, the first of many that you will see in this movie. I just think there is something irresistible with seeing the sun setting in the west, dipping into the vast Pacific Ocean. It's just beautiful. And this is the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is really worth a visit. It's $50 per person, and there is a lot to see here and experience. They have incredibly huge, big aquariums on the inside, but outside you can see the natural ocean, you can see seals here, and if you're lucky you can also catch a glimpse of whales in the bay. And inside you can see different ocean living creatures like sharks, sea otters, large jellyfish, and much more. Actually, this aquarium is ranked by TripAdvisor to be the best aquarium in the world. There are some over 2 million visitors per year. And something that was especially impressive is one of the big aquariums houses over 14,000 sardines swimming in huge patterns, as you will see soon. So this is one of the many highlights on the coastal line of California.
From Hank to Hendrix, I walk these streets with you. Here I am with this old guitar, doing what I do. I always expected that you would see me through. I never believed in much, but I believed in you. Can we get it together? Can we still stand side by side? Can we make it last like a musical ride?
And here is just another example on how close you can get to nature if you're driving down the Highway 1 on the California coastline, because here we are seeing elephant seals just down from the road, and you can see how close I can get with the camera to filming them. The next stop is Hearst Castle. This is a huge mansion on top of a hill, just outside in nowhere land, created by a man called William Randolph Hearst. You could say he was like the Donald Trump of the 1920s and 30s. He was rich and eccentric. So for decades he built and built more and more to impress movie stars and other millionaires, importing Greek ancient vases, Egyptian statues, and all mixed in typical American lack of style and taste. So is it worth the visit? I would say yes. If you're driving down the Highway 1, it's still worth the crazy feeling of seeing all this luxury and megalomania of building that is just appearing right out here in nowhere.
The second largest room that we're going to see on our tour together today. There's a room still larger than this one, but this room is so large it could actually fit the smallest guest cottage within.
So we're coming to Pismo Beach. For us this was actually a real surprise. I shouldn't say that this is a hidden gem, because there's nothing hidden about this coastal town, but Mao immediately regretted that we had booked only one night here. It could easily be a place where one just relax for a whole week, and it is located halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles. The Cliff Shore Resort had big spacious rooms with a balcony where you can sit and watch the sunset, as well as life on the beach and say hello to the curious seagulls. So I would easily go back there and stay for some days. The town of Pismo is famous for its large concentration of clams, even though overfishing in the last 100 years has made them drop the motto they used to have, the clam center of the world. It's also known for good surfing, but that goes for maybe the whole coast area when driving the Highway 1.
Oh, the bitter winds are coming in, and I'm already missing the summer. Stockholm's cold, but I've been told I was born to endure this kind of weather. When it's you, I find like a ghost in my mind. I am defeated, and I gladly wear the crown. I'll be your Emmylou and I'll be your June. You'll be my Graham and my Johnny too. No, I'm not asking much of you. Just sing, little darling, sing with me. Now so much I know that things just don't grow if you don't bless them with your patience. And I've been there before. I held up the door for every stranger with a promise. But I'm holding back, that's the strength that I lack. Every morning keeps returning up my window, and it brings me to you when I I'll be your Emmylou and I'll be your June. You'll be my Graham
I applaud those that dare to surf in February, even though the air temperature was around 22 degrees. The water was freezingly cold, and yet there were no shortage of happy surfers enjoying the
Across the
waves.
USA, then everybody be served like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy blonde hairdo, surfing USA. You'll catch them surfing at Del, Ventura County line, Santa Cruz and Trent, Australia's Caribbean, all over Manhattan, and down Doheny Way. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. We'll all be planning out a route we're gonna take real soon. We're waxing down our surfboard, we can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer, we're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing, surfing USA. And hang your knees and swan, Pacific Palisades, San Onofre and Sun, and on the beach in LA, all over La Jolla, at Waimea Bay. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. 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 Yeah, everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. Yeah, everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA.
And there's another sunset on the beach of Santa Barbara, or in Santa Barbara, preparing us for finally going back to Los Angeles 31 years after my last visit. And what an incredible way to do a comeback, rolling down the Sunset Boulevard in a Mustang.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home?
Here we are visiting the Huy Fong Sriracha sauce factory, and for me this is like a pilgrimage to Mecca, the origin of a sauce I cannot live without. The Vietnamese David Tran started making this sauce in 1983, and I've been addicted since 1988 at least. It's a mild sauce, more like a stingy ketchup, but I like to have it on anything, so I put Sriracha on my Sriracha sauce, as the slogan says. So, Universal Studios. Of course, everyone that goes to Los Angeles has to go to Universal Studios, and if you plan only one full day here, expect to queue for more than 2-3 hours per attraction. And oh boy, is there a lot to see and experience at Universal Studios. I was here 31 years ago as well, and what I was reacting to this time was that how much that was exactly the same. Like the live animal training show, I filmed a sequence in 1989 with the parrot, and the words and the gestures and even the mic is identical, as you soon will see, so just watch this.
Now we can only film one dog at a time, and Clover's in place to go first. Folks, that's you. Lights, camera, action! Through the tunnel. Time, 6 seconds, that was fantastic. Nice sharing, Team Clover, you guys can align to another. To help demonstrate that, I need help from an adult volunteer. Someone sitting about halfway up these two middle sections would be great. Keep your hands raised, please. Okay, how about you? You're up here, you have on the Jurassic Park shirt. Go on, stand up for me, stay right where you are. Please take out a $1 bill. Now, the reason why I asked you to take out that $1 is because Kiwi does not know him and may feel uncomfortable flying to someone she's never met before. As you know this clip from Evan Almighty, we train our birds to recognize and fly to a common object. So here at the show, we use that $1 bill. Can I see how that's folded, please? That looks great. Can you place it between two fingers? Arms straight out to your side. Don't move. Kiwi will see that and know exactly where to fly. Those are a couple of those. Thank you. I need somebody on this side of the $20 bill who wants to work with us. All the hands went down.
This is also entertaining. Listen to the guy talk about the future in 1989 when talking about the movie Back to the Future set in 2015.
The clock tower's still here though on Lawyer's side toward the back of the tram. That's the courthouse where lightning struck in the original movie. You'll notice they've taken out the parking lot though and put in this pond-like area. Coming up on my side, you'll notice an elevated gas station, a Texaco. It sells fusion fuel and liquid hydrogen. And what you do is you land your car at Texaco. Cars fly in this movie. You land it at Texaco and you fill up with whichever type of fuel you need. And then after that, you take off for this freeway ramp here on Lawyer's side. Once you get to the top of it, you're airborne onto a big aerial skyway. Underneath Texaco, there's a 7-Eleven store. It's all computerized. They don't use money in the 21st century, so you just have to come there and use your debit card. No clerks, no cash registers. This movie comes out November 22nd. Part 3, filming right now in Utah and Arizona, comes out in the summer of 1990.
So no flying cars in 2015, but she got it right about cash not needed. And so this sequence also, not a drop of water has changed in 31 years, and I can't feel sorry for the guy to have to say exactly the same thing over and over every hour, day, month and year. The Harry Potter park, that did not exist in 1989, so of course there are new things as well. And this was extremely well done. Everybody that wants to go to Hogwarts can fulfill their dreams here. After an exhausting day, the area explodes in neon lights and shops. Probably you need an extra nuclear plant to drive just this enormous park.
Come here, girl.
It's time to explore Hollywood, the place where dreams are made into reality, or maybe the place where fake and plastic surface become the only thing that matters. It's still worth it to enjoy the clichés of walking around, seeing people dressed up as Darth Vader or Mickey Mouse, or hearing preachers proclaiming that the end is near and it's time to repent. It's amusing to have a walk on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where over 2,690 stars are embedded in the pavement, honoring famous people with some kind of connection to Hollywood. It goes all the way from Greta Garbo to Donald Trump, from Charlie Chaplin to Kermit the Frog. I wouldn't say that it's worth to stay more than 2-3 hours here, but of course it is still part of the experience of Los Angeles, so it is worth the hassle of going there.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the world-famous Chinese Theater forecourt.
If you're interested in taking a tour with us today, we have another VIP tour coming up very soon. These will be the only tours that will take you inside our famous theaters, so don't miss out.
Venice Beach. This brings back memories as to when I arrived in Los Angeles from the Philippines in 1989. I had $5 in my wallet and I checked in at a hostel on Brooks Avenue in Venice. This was a bohemic and crazy place then, and thanks God it still is now. So people are still hanging at the beach in February 2020. Lana Del Rey is singing about Venice bitches, and it's the hippies epicenter in the Los Angeles area. And this is also where one of the greatest American rock bands were formed, The Doors. The beach walk is full of people and performance artists trying to make their break into fame and success, or maybe just earning a couple of dollars. In 2020 you can also see full legal advertising about selling weed and marijuana everywhere. That's an odd thing for a Swede to see. And of course the police is also very present everywhere. Next to Venice is Santa Monica, and the world-famous Pier that is also considered to be the starting point of the famous Route 66. That's the historical main road that goes through United States all the way from Santa Monica Pier to Chicago. So this was another perfect evening catching the sunset. I won't talk so much from here on. Just look and listen to the National's wonderful song Light Years as the sun meets the horizon.
You were waiting outside for me in the sun, laying down to soak it all in before we had to run. I was always 10 feet behind you from the start. Didn't know you were gone till we were in the car. Oh, the glory of it all was lost on me till I saw how hard it'd be to reach you. And I would always be light years away from you. Light years away from you. I thought I saw your mother last weekend in the park. It could have been anybody. It was after dark. Everyone was lighting up in the shadows alone. You could have been right there next to me, and I'd have never known. Oh, the glory of it all was lost on me, till I saw how hard it'd be to reach you. And I would always be light years away from you. Light years away from you.
So welcome to our suite in Las Vegas. The first thing that struck me was that you get gigantic suites for the third of the price for any other accommodation in California. And that's not just because we have crossed the state line to Nevada, but because what all hotels expect is that you spend and lose a lot of money on the casinos, and they tempt you with these cheap rates. Well, that works fine for us, as we never understood the charm of losing money on gambling. It was enough to try our luck with $50, which is peanut money here, and watch it disappear in about 10 minutes. And it doesn't help that the dollar was at its all-time high compared to the Swedish krona in February 2020. It was over 11 kronor for $1. In 1989, it was just 4 kronor, and I remember United States as a cheap country for food and booze, even compared to Asia in those days. But even if you're not a pro gambler, it's still fun to walk around and see the crazy town of Vegas with its own copies of the Eiffel Tower and the pyramids, and you can see that people are there to have a good time. I don't think you see anybody that is sober after sunset, and I bet that the business is good for the casinos. At least it would be before COVID hit them. heading out of Vegas the next morning for a 10-hour marathon ride from Vegas directly to San Francisco. And with this car, it was just a joyride. I wasn't even tired when arriving, almost disappointed to have to get out of the car.
If you knew Peggy Sue, then you know why I feel blue without Peggy.
Short stop at Peggy Sue's Diner in Yermo, in the desert halfway between Vegas and LA. Getting burger and fries and the posters of Marilyn Monroe, Elvis and Betty Boop.
My heart yearns for you, oh Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Oh, well, I love you, gal, yes, I love you, Peggy Sue.
Here we are the next day in San Francisco, exploring Chinatown. This is the biggest Chinatown outside China. And it's like a town in itself, with Chinese signs, residents speaking very little English, having 2 major hospitals, schools and temples and so on. There are actually more tourists visiting Chinatown than the Golden Gate Bridge, so you can understand how popular it is. And if you want to eat really authentic Chinese food, look where the locals go. Expect and be amused over rude service and fantastic food. It's time for the San Francisco cable car ride, one of the highlights of the trip. And the cars are actually hooked up to a cable that runs underground, a bit like cars you ride up in the mountains, but the cable is not above you, but under. And nowadays, maybe there's more tourists than residents that use the cable cars up and down the hilly streets of San Francisco, but they have a long history of operation since actually 1870s. It's mandatory, I would say, to ride on one of these when in San Francisco, especially the one that goes from Powell Street to Hyde. They have a reputation of being involved in accidents with cars quite often, and when you look at how close they are riding to the parked cars in the road, it's no wonder. So now join me in going with the cable car all the way from Powell Street to Hyde Street in Fishermans Wharf. So this stretch of Lombard Street is called the crookedest street in the world. It has 8 hairpin sections or hairpin turn sections, and it's famous from a bunch of movies, like for instance the animated Pixar film Inside Out.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there. For those who come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there. In the streets of San Francisco, gentle people with flowers in their hair. All across the nation, such a strange vibration, people in motion. There's a whole generation with a new explanation. People in motion. People in motion. For those who come to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there. If you come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there.
Muir Woods is a national park with giant redwood trees. These trees can be over 110 meters tall, but they do all come from a seed that is smaller than the tomato seed. And most of the trees in the park are some 600 to 800 years old, but the oldest in the park is estimated to be at least 1,500 years old. It's so soothing and relaxing to come here after the hassle and noises of the big cities of California. Be prepared that you need a car to come here, and parking is very limited. You must buy a ticket before you even try to get up here. But once you are here, you can enjoy a beautiful experience. And if you have the physics and time for it, there are trails that you can walk for hours here and enjoy the silence. If you feel that there is something familiar about this place, then maybe it's because you've seen The movie is Planet of the Apes, the new adaptation of that movie series, because that's where the monkeys or apes, when they take over the San Francisco Bay Area, they have their base up here.
I hear the train a-comin', it's rollin' around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rollin' on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. I bet there's rich folks eating in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming, I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. That railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line, far from Folsom Prison. That's where I want.
It's a beautiful day, and we visit Alcatraz, the most infamous prison in America, maybe in the world. It's said to be impossible to escape from, even though rumors said that in 1962 3 men managed a jailbreak. Did they drown, or did they make it? Who knows? The prison was operated between 1934 and 1963 and housed many of the most notorious criminals in America. Maybe the best known is mafia leader Al Capone. I booked the tickets well over a month before we even came to California. You need to plan ahead because there's a limited number of boats going to the island per day. I think it's worth a visit, especially the guided tour by using the headsets was really good and professional. The audio tour is recorded using voices of former inmates and staff that used to work at Alcatraz, or the Rock as it is sometimes called. It is saddening visiting here and knowing how cruel and sadistic we as humans can treat our fellow humans. You could argue that these men did horrible things to end up here, but still it's dehumanizing and cruel to lock people up with life sentences in tiny concrete holes. As they say in the audio material, sometimes you can see pretty views of the bay and San Francisco skyline from the prison, but it's like being thirsty and someone holding a glass of cold water in front of you, out of reach, and you can't have it. So it is with a sense of relief that we go back with the boat to the Fisherman's Wharf, but the memories of the prison island Alcatraz will be hard to forget. After Alcatraz, we had lunch at the Fisherman's Wharf. I expect to pay about $100 for 2 persons. We tried the clam chowder, which is basically a creamy clam chowder or soup served in a sourdough bread bowl. When I looked outside the window, I saw a young girl imitating the wild sea lions that are sometimes sunbathing on the Pier 39. That was quite funny. The last afternoon on our trip, we took a stroll in the Alamo Square Park. It is the location of the quite famous mansions called the Painted Ladies. It's typical of the architecture and colors used for houses that you see occupying the hilly streets of San Francisco. These particular houses were built in the 1890s, and they have been used a lot for advertising a sort of San Francisco look, as well as being used in many movies and TV series where that particular look and feel is asked for. So the Alamo Park is nice for picnics and just relaxing and chilling, even though it has its shares of hippies and weirdos like this guy. The San Francisco Twin Peaks is an excellent viewing point where you can see all of San Francisco as well as the ocean and the Golden Gate Bridge. It's also one of the best spots to view the sunset, but it can be a bit difficult to get up here if you don't have a car. Probably an Uber is the best way to get up the steep roads. I think it's actually one of the best places to see all of San Francisco, and it's completely free.
Who's gonna tell you when it's too late? Who's gonna tell you things are so great?
When I comment this last evening of our trip to California, I do get a bit sad. Not only because it's the last time that I drive this wonderful car, but this night, the 23rd of February, is the last night when we were free to travel like this to another country and another continent. We had no idea that only 2 weeks later the world would be closed down, with 500,000 American lives taken in COVID, and Sweden being among the top 6 worst affected countries by this modern black plague. I'm glad that we managed to make this trip and have this memory, and hopefully we can sometime in the future create new traveling memories. So thank you very much for watching.
Who's gonna plug their ears when you scream? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? Who's gonna hold it down when you shake? Who's gonna come around when you break? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong.